Hi. Well, thank you all for watching my videos. And my appendix one that I did, me and my appendix, Mr. Gurdjieff, I had lots of responses to, great ones, wonderful ones, emails and such like, and lots of lovely comments. And people were asking, tell us more about the anger exercises. And to most people I was saying, well, it was through reading Gurdjieff. And other things. It wasn't just that. I went to self-hypnosis classes and I do Qigong, Tai Chi, things like that, which help calm the energies in your body. You know, it's a long process of working on yourself, as I've said in many shows. But what I wanted to say was, let's take anger as an emotion for the moment of how to deal with anger. Obviously, there's moments when we need to be angry, but most of the time we're wasting energy being angry when we don't really need to be. We're taking things out of proportion or letting things get to us. And so I was thinking, well, what was it that really hit the mark for me? And I think it was having to look at what is essential and what is not essential. And that's an important part of our lives. What do we have in our lives that we need? Most of the time when we get angry, it's not for essential things. So I was having to look at why I was getting angry. What was the main source of it? Because a lot of the time it's misdirected anger. You know, a lot of things like racism and such like is really just misdirected anger from people having other problems in other areas, and they're looking for ways of putting their anger onto something else. Can you hear the woodpecker? Somewhere behind me. Anyway, love a woodpecker. So with things like that, I was doing a lot of looking at myself. When I was caught up in an angry moment of, am I going to be angry now? What is it that's causing that anger? Sometimes it's difficult because you're being irritated by somebody else, and that anger's coming from somebody else annoying you, or something's gone wrong, or you've dropped something on your foot. That kind of anger. I actually did that the other day, which is why I mentioned that one. I'd got a crystal out there. I thought, well, I'm going to wear this today. And I was walking along, and suddenly the crystal fell out of my top and landed straight on my toe. I had no shoes on, no slippers, and it landed straight on my toe, and it hurt so much. I was like, ah! I was wanting to curse my crystal. I had to pick it up, naughty crystal, hurting me. But it was the shock of it. Oh, people are coming. I'm just going to hold on for a moment. Let you see some trees and woods. Bye. Look. So when I realised that crystal falling, like I was thinking that crystal's here to help me and it's hurt me. But it was a bit of an awakening for me of feeling that pain and then having to control that anger that raised up and realising, right, I've got that anger because it's hit my toe, really hurt. And being aware of what it is that's causing the anger changes things, changes that anger. Suddenly the anger stops. Obviously I knew then what it wasn't instantly because that crystal had landed on my toe. But when we're in an argument with someone or something's annoyed us, it's very difficult to act. Instead, we react all the time. And that makes it, it's like an impulse. And with that anger, sometimes we don't have that time to think of why have we got it, but we need to be in the now of realising. Fourth in the Emerald Tablets, which again I would recommend to people to read because he explains what anger is, or thoughts that come into our head that try to take us away from our path or put us in a bad mood. Normally they're put there by the dark forces. We have to be aware, is that anger coming from me or from someone else? And I was going to say, with an argument with someone, you've got to see who's being the argumentative one. And I'm trying to understand why they're being argumentative. And this is something Gurdjieff talks a lot about in his books. It's looking, observing, being aware. You know, sometimes people are angry because something happened to them earlier in the day, and then they're carrying that anger through. Where doing this kind of work, we must recognise that anger and not carry it with us. We've got to find the source, be aware of it, and sometimes just being aware of it makes it dissipate. And I know that sounds really easy, but it's difficult to do when we actually have to get on and do it, when it happens, when that angry moment comes in. And with most negative emotions, we need to look at what is the source of them, where are they coming from? Which is why people have to work on themselves. And I know that stops a lot of people doing this work, because looking at yourself and looking at your past can be painful. But we need to find out why it's painful, or you need to find out why it's painful. And I know it's easy to say, just get over it. But you don't just get over it, you look at the pattern that it's bringing on and why you're being like that, why you're being angry, miserable, you know, whatever this negative emotion is that's stopping you going forward. There's a reason why you're feeling that way. And normally it's suppressed emotions or suppressed thinking, or it's the dark forces coming in to try and trip you up. So it's being aware of it and working with it and thinking, right, I see what that anger's trying to do to me, for example, or that misery is trying to do to me, or that depression's trying to pull me down, or that blaming someone else. You know, the blame games are another one that we all do, but we have to stop it. We have to realise, take responsibility for our actions. But going back to the essential and the non-essential, you have to think about what's essential in your life and not have the non-essential things coming in and disrupting you. Oh, there's more people coming. Like, what is essential for you? What is essential to you? Everybody's dogs decided to come and see me. You good doggy. So what is essential in your life? Not just people, what you're doing, your emotions, your thoughts. What thoughts are essential and what thoughts are not essential? All that negative activity that comes into our minds, that inner dialogue that sometimes tries to trick us into thinking about things that have not been dealt with. Sometimes when memories come up that make us all wince and such like, that's telling us that we need to work on that thought pattern or that memory and deal with it. And Gurdjieff talks a lot about in his books about thinking, emotions, and our bodily influences. And sometimes we think when we should feel and feel when we should think. We get everything upside down, round the wrong way, topsy-turvy. And that causes misunderstanding in ourselves. And now I've got a helicopter coming over. I'm letting all these distractions take me off what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I suppose my main message for this little video out in the woods, where I thought I was having peace and quiet, is what is essential and what is not essential in your life. And that will help you on your path. But I do highly recommend, obviously, reading the Gurdjieff writings. but also doing exercises like whether it's yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, because that sorts out the energies in your body. And it's doing it all. We've got to work on our bodies, our minds and our emotions. And sometimes calming the body then allows the mind to calm down, or the emotions to stop flitting around in our solar plexus. It brings a calming effect. And with that calming effect, you can start working on yourself. And then as you do it more and more and more, when you're out in the real world, and you find yourself getting affected, you've suddenly got that exercise to take stock, to pause, to not react, but act. And also be aware of, is this essential or is this not essential to me? Because this is our one life that we've got a chance to do things with. And if you're watching these videos, you're obviously wanting to do something and develop yourself. I think I will leave it there. Though it's gone all quiet now, typically. So remember, if you can, I've done videos on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I would recommend reading them books. And if you're finding his tablets quite difficult to follow, I do a run through on them, because he talks about how the dark forces do interrupt our mind thoughts, do try and send negative thoughts into us, and he explains how to stop them affecting you. You know, he puts little exercises in as well, which are quite like Gurdjieff's as well. You know, we've got to shake them off. We've got to be aware what's really us doing something, and aware what's coming from outside. So I hope this video has been essential, and I always love to hear from you all, you know, emails, comments and such like. Thank you for watching. Peace to you all.